Hey, my name is Hedy. I teach change makers to uncondition their bodies, their nervous systems, and their voices from systems built to keep them small. So you can stand, speak, and move through life with sovereign power. Today, I want to talk to you about how to move through overwhelm and what is overwhelm. Most people think when overwhelm happens, there is something significantly wrong and we need to fix it or we need to stop completely. But the truth is, overwhelm happens when we feel like there's more demand than we have capacity for. But is that feeling always true? So often, by the thought of overwhelm, we get paralyzed and we don't know how to move forward. As a society, we started to use the word overwhelm so casually that sometimes we use the word overwhelm more as a lazy way of saying, my brain doesn't want to do it, it's too hard, so I won't even do it. When I say this, it may come across as ignorant. But in no way I'm promoting for you to overwork yourself and do too many things or carry too many plates all at once. But I believe because of all the distraction that is going on around us and how quickly we get what we want, one click away or one text away or one app away, right? Everything is so accessible. We have less capacity in our brain because our brain is addicted to fast dopamine. And we sometimes confuse that with the lack of capacity to stick the course. We throw the word overwhelmed so often that we made the process that it takes for something to be completed, to be accomplished, to be figured out, is being discounted. Because by saying that I'm overwhelmed, I steal the opportunity from myself to become the hero or the shiro of my life, to figure out what I need to be figuring out as I'm going through life. I personally found myself over the past couple of years that I use the word overwhelm a lot more frequently than before. And every time I was encountering some challenge or the need for me to focus on a task to do it, as soon as it got slightly more difficult than I expected, I would use the word overwhelm as if something is wrong, so I shouldn't be doing that. And then I would get wrapped up in that. I would get feeling disappointed, angry, pissed off. All that emotions would rise up. And I realized because of that feeling, because of that thing that I was experiencing, I barely got anything done that I felt deeply proud of. Because in order for me to create something that I'm deeply proud of, I need to be able to stick with that feeling of discomfort, to be able to figure out something, to be able to build something that I feel fulfilled and complete by. Early this year, I decided to refuse to use the word overwhelm too casually for everything. And in my experience, I realized what I was experiencing wasn't actually overwhelm. It was my brain gotten too lazy. What do I mean by that? We live in a society that we are bombarded by fast gratification, fast fulfillment. We can buy something with a click of an order. It's going to be here the next day. We search anything that we think about straight away, and we now, with the presence of AI, we can literally do whatever we want in a lot less amount of time that we used to. And our brain is so addicted to that fast dopamine. Anything that requires you to do more work, your brain is like, this is too much work, I'm not going to do that. This is too much work, I'm not going to do that. So what happens is we get into the habit of making that work, that process, that journey, or that process of creating something wrong. Because the creative process, the journey, it's never easy. There are setbacks, there are things you need to figure out along the way. And I had this conversation with a client that she was telling me how she felt so fulfilled just taking care of some of the tasks that she needed to do around the house, like installing some lamps and things like that. But because she needed to measure, she made it so overwhelming in her head and she never got it around. So what happened was, the lamp was lying on the ground and she kept seeing it over a few months, but she never did it. But when she did it, she realized actually she enjoyed doing that. But that process of getting our brain to stay on task and moving from fast dopamine to a slower dopamine can create a massive shift in your life. And I realized since I made that commitment to train my brain into a slower hit of dopamine, as I'm creating work, I'm not focusing on how fast I can do that. I'm going to focus on how much I will enjoy when I actually finish that task. And I want to encourage you that next time when the brain is trying to deceive you, our lazy monkey brain wants to deceive you and fool you around by telling you that you shouldn't be doing this, there is something wrong either with you or the task that you're doing, and this shouldn't feel like that. Who told you this should be easy? Who told you that the process of creating this or whatever you want to focus on supposed to be easy? Who said that? I think it's a conditioning of the system, because the lazier we get, the more we give into the consumerism, the more we give into other people leading the way for us, and we're not taking responsibility for the life that we want to create. So next time you heard the word overwhelmed, know that it's your way of brain deceiving you, especially when you have a hard task in front of you and you want to do that and you see you're resisting it, you don't want to do it, or you feel overwhelmed by it. It's your brain doing that to you. I'm not saying the feeling of overwhelm is always wrong. I also recognize that there are a lot of people carrying too much of a load that their body is capable of. I think the body, especially in a world that we live in, we don't actually honor the body. A lot of feeling of overwhelm is actually happening in the mind than we feel in the body. The body often shows the symptoms of, I'm tired, I need a rest, only if you're willing to listen to your body's language. And you know what I'm talking about. You know the difference of whether or not you're actually doing too many things all at once. That is a true feeling of drowning under the pressure, or is it your brain creating that story so you're not doing the hard task? So you're not training your brain into the more process-driven task at hand rather than the fast, quick, one-click away task. So I'm wondering, what is your relationship with overwhelm? How often do you tell yourself that you're overwhelmed? Are you giving your power away, or are you going to be choosing a moment of awareness and recognizing that what if this feeling of overwhelm is not the true sense of overwhelm? It's your brain's story telling you not to stick the course and not give something enough time for it to flourish. What if it's your brain's way of pushing for the instant gratification rather than the journey things take for you to get there? I hope you find this video helpful. Let me know, how do you feel it in your body? How did it land for you? Did it feel activating, or did it feel like, yeah, I feel that, I want to give that a try? And if you want to give it a chance, I highly recommend starting by decluttering your life from all the things that creates fast dopamine in your mind. For example, for the longest time, I would wake up and before I meditate, I would say, I'm just going to quickly check my social media and then get into my meditation. But one thing that I started practicing is like, no, I'm not going to do the checking of my social media or my emails before getting into my meditation. I hear those faster desires and I pull my energy back. I'm like, I hear you, but no, thank you. We're staying at the task that we identified for ourselves. I also removed all the apps from my phone that they're not immediately accessible to me every time I think about checking my phone or checking social media or checking my email. I don't even have my emails on my phone. And even with my laptop when I work, I do work a lot with Pomodoro technique because it really allows me to stay focused on a task. If you don't know what Pomodoro technique is, you give yourself 25 minutes or 50 minutes and then take 5 minutes or 10 minutes break in between. And then every time I do the breaks, I make sure that I move my body. I do something active, even if it's only for 5 minutes. And that really allowed me to train my brain to not constantly be distracted by the demand of the world that we live in, the demand that is not even productive most cases. And even if I do use social media, for example, I do use social media for my work, right? Before I would just get into the scrolling habit. Now, if I do spend time on my social media, I will dedicate 25 minutes and then I actually create engagement. I talk to people, I DM them, I respond, I make sure that I make a comment if I have something to add, make sure that it's meaningful. It's not just passively watching through. And I notice myself, sometimes I get so lazy that I don't even like something, or I don't even engage with the contents that I enjoy to show the creator that I'm actually enjoying what you're creating. And the more you do that, the more you become stronger. Your brain is becoming stronger in sticking to the task that requires more effort than the quick result. And as a result of that, you start feeling more fulfilled. You start feeling more complete, more whole. You're feeling more proud of yourself and you feel more accomplished and you feel like you're a better person for the society, and you are because of that. If you decide to give this a try, let me know how it goes for you. Thank you for listening this far. If you enjoy this video, make sure you subscribe, comment down below, and also join Unconditioned Movement on Substack. I will link it down below. And I'll see you around.